Hey, and welcome to Off Balance with me, Arish. This is the podcast where I take you through bite-sized chunks of knowledge that I've learned over the last 20 years operating as a CEO and CFO. You ready? Let's get to it. Cash flow, balance sheet, profit and loss, in that order. Now, a lot of people will be sitting there going, Arish, what are you smoking? Everyone asks me about my revenue. Everyone wants to know what's going on my P&L. But the reality is that the P&L is a really blunt instrument, and it isn't the one that you should be using to manage your business internally. Why is that? Well, as we learned early on in this podcast, cash trumps everything. That's why you need to focus on the cash flow first and foremost. You want to know where your money's coming in, where it's going out, how much you're spending, how much you have left, and what that means in terms of the decisions that you're making. It is imperative to be on top of your cash flow. And that's why I put it first out of the three statements. The balance sheet comes next. Why? Because like the cash flow statement, it gives you a realistic picture of where you are financially. It tells you what you are owed, i.e. who owes you money, and what you owe, i.e. who do you owe money to. And if you know those two things, you can plan accordingly. If you're focused, on the other hand, on your profit and loss statement, you could get yourself caught in a twist. Because as I've said before, sales is vanity, profit is sanity, and cash is king. A profit and loss statement is a function of an accountant's mind. We work in this magical world of accruals and timing differences where we move money around to make sure that we're doing it in line with accounting IFRS standards. And that may mean that whilst your business looks rosy, it might not be. So let me give you an example of that. You may book £100,000 worth of sales, but those sales may be sitting on your balance sheet as an uncollected debtor. And if they're an uncollected debtor, they haven't hit your cash flow. So you haven't got the cash to pay a supplier or your employees, even though you've booked that revenue. This is why I always say focus on the cash flow and the balance sheet before the P&L. And remember, an accountant is someone who can take the numbers 1 and 7 and make them -20. Cash flow, balance sheet, profit and loss, in that order. There we go. Hit me up in my DMs on LinkedIn or Twitter if you've got any questions. Otherwise, let's get back to building.